Temporary border controls at Poland's border with Germany and Lithuania will continue until at least October 4th. The regulation has been issued and sent to the European Commission for notification. However, despite the official introduction of checks at the borders, migrants are still being transferred to Poland by German authorities. For a year and a half, Germany has been ruthlessly pursuing a policy of so-called pushbacks, a policy of sending unverified migrants into Poland. The Border Defense Movement has shown light on this practice. It was the Border Defense Movement, a grassroots initiative by citizens, that showed how German authorities are transferring migrants to Poland. If it weren't for this movement, the Polish public would only have access to official government statistics, which do not reveal the scale of the problem. On the Polish-German border, it is still the German side that carries out meticulous checks, despite the Polish side officially also doing border checks. German officers frequently cross the Polish border in order to drop off migrants. In recent days, Polish services inspected a police car marked as a, quote, joint Polish-German patrol at the border crossing in Gubin. According to our journalistic sources, there were 2 Bundespolizei officers in the car, but no Polish officers. The Lubusz police claim otherwise. We would like to inform you that on July 31st, 2025, a police car belonging to the joint Polish-German police team Gubin/Guben was stopped for a border check when entering Poland. There were 2 officers in the vehicle, a police officer from the Gubin police station in Poland and a police officer from Brandenburg, who were on duty as part of a joint patrol in Gubin and Guben. These statements raise doubts. Why was it previously announced that Polish-German patrols would be suspended? This was a few days before the introduction of random checks at the beginning of July. During the checks, we will suspend the operation of joint post and Polish-German patrols. We can see that a regular check is being carried out on this vehicle. The border guard did not know that these particular patrols were still active. There are many questions, but so far, one conclusion appears obvious. Not only are the checks on the Polish side of the border superficial, there is clearly a lack of communication between the ranks of the Polish services. It seems that the main reason for introducing border controls is that the Polish public has said they do not want illegal immigration, and we will defend Poland's borders. Because if public institutions fail to fulfill their duties to properly police Poland's borders, then citizens will be forced to take matters into their own hands.
Illegal migration has become one of the main problems across Europe. One of the routes from Africa to the old continent leads through the Iberian Peninsula. The French have had enough of this situation and have started sending uninvited guests back to Spain. The United Kingdom and Italy are also working on new legal solutions. However, it seems that it may already be too late to reverse the changes that have taken place in many Western countries in recent years. Asylum! Asylum! The French have taken matters into their own hands. The local police are returning migrants to Spain who are trying to cross from Africa to Western Europe, according to the Spanish daily ABC. Despite not having tickets, the uninvited guests are put on trains heading south. Other methods are also being used. Those who tried to cross the border on foot under cover of night and were detained by French authorities are taken to a nearby gas station on the Spanish side. The whole of Europe is buckling under the weight of illegal migration. Due to the dramatic social change that has taken place in recent years, crowds of Britons have recently taken to the streets of Manchester. There are many more similar demonstrations. Influenced by anti-immigrant sentiment, the government is working on new legal solutions.
Well, the way the law will be drafted, and it will be brought in as part of the Border Security, Asylum and Immigration Bill, which is currently going through the House, it will have what's called extraterritorial reach. So it will mean that if someone is doing one of these adverts in France and they travel to the United Kingdom, we will be able to deal with them in the United Kingdom. It will be a criminal offence.
Under pressure from the public and the opposition, even the left-wing government in London is being forced to tighten its migration policy.
I'm sorry, I've had enough of this. If you come from Afghanistan, you go back to Afghanistan. End of. This idea we can't send people to certain countries, all the false claims that people make about their own personal lives. I'm sorry, we're done. We're done. We've had enough.
The residents of other European countries, which are changing beyond recognition before our very eyes, have also had enough. This video shows a group of immigrant women in Germany harassing a white woman who went out on the street of her city in what they considered inappropriate clothing. In Gelsenkirchen, Germany, as many as 60% of students are of immigrant origin. As a result, as many as 9 public schools there will serve only halal meals starting next semester. Teachers complain about the scandalous behavior of immigrant youth. This is an excerpt from an interview with a German teacher from North Rhine-Westphalia for the German magazine Focus. "You old whore, I'll smash your head in. Whore, cunt. Shut up, I'll give you AIDS. Shut up, you Jewish whore." Ebel and her colleagues are repeatedly subjected to such insults. And this is Belgium. In Brussels, a group of Muslims decided to have a picnic in one of the cemeteries. The desecration of a burial site also took place in Portugal. European leaders are frantically trying to turn back the tide and find a solution to illegal migration. The agreement between Italy and Albania was supposed to serve this purpose. The plan was that immigrants applying for asylum in Italy would wait for their applications to be processed in transit centers on Albanian territory. However, the Court of Justice of the European Union invalidated the legal basis on which the agreement was concluded. The decision of the Court of Justice of the European Union caused euphoria among left-wing activists. We are very happy that the Court of Justice of the European Union has finally issued a ruling that strikes at the heart of the agreement between Albania and Italy, also known as the Rama-Maloney Agreement, declaring it incompatible with European Union law.
Look at this.
But the right-wing government in Rome is not giving up. The fight against illegal migration is one of Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni's priorities. It was on this topic that trilateral talks between Italy, Turkey, and Libya ended a few days ago. Compared to the rest of Europe, Poland has remained a green island for years, virtually unaffected by the problem of illegal migration. This state of affairs is slowly becoming a thing of the past and may come to an end with the entry into force of the Migration Pact. We must mobilize society. We must show that unacceptable things are happening, that we simply want to be at home, which is normal. It is not a crime. It is not a violation of any rules, including the rules of our faith. That is why Law and Justice is collecting signatures for a nationwide referendum that would block the Migration Pact. And on the 11th of October, a large march against illegal migration will take place in Warsaw. Volgograd and Sochi, 2 targets of Ukrainian drones in the Russian war zone. In both cases, the attacks were carried out on Russian army infrastructure. This is retaliation for last Thursday's massacre in Kiev. The Russians are bombing Ukraine every day. Last night, rockets fell on Mykolaiv. 7 civilians were injured. Thursday's attack on the Ukrainian capital was one of the bloodiest of the war. 31 people were killed, over 150 were injured. Among the victims were 5 children. Many people around the world have expressed their support for Ukraine and condemned Russian terror, attacks, and Russia's refusal to end the war. Proposals for a ceasefire have been considered for a long time. Proposals from Ukraine, the U.S., and many others around the world. Each time, the only response is an attempt to buy more time for war, more time for terror. This is the only way Russia operates. Despite this, the U.S. administration gave Moscow a chance to end the war diplomatically at the negotiating table. After months of deception and further fruitless talks, Washington said enough is enough.
I think it's Russia, I think it's disgusting what they're doing. I think it's disgusting.
Donald Trump has given Moscow a clear ultimatum: 10 days to end the war. The deadline expires this Friday. The last chance is to be a meeting in the Kremlin, which will be attended by a special envoy of the U.S. president. His message to the Russians is clear.
Get a deal where people stop getting killed. They had a number that just came out that a tremendous number of Russian soldiers are being killed, And likewise, Ukraine, a lower number, but still thousands and thousands of people. And now we're adding towns where they're being hit by missiles. So it's a lot of people being killed in that ridiculous war.
Trump's ultimatum was also presented at the UN forum. This may be a preemptive justification for further steps that Washington will take in the event of a failure to reach an agreement.
Both Russia and Ukraine must negotiate a ceasefire and durable peace. It is time to make a deal. President Trump has made clear this must be done by August 8th. The United States is prepared to implement additional measures to secure peace.
These measures are not only sanctions against countries trading with Russia and financing the Kremlin's army. They also include military support for Ukraine and increased military pressure on Russia, as was the case with Washington's recent response to the provocative statements of the former Russian president, when in the face of threats of nuclear conflict, the White House sent 2 American submarines with warheads on board towards Russia.
This year's Women's Tour de France was a real spectacle that will long remain in the memory of Polish fans. Katarzyna Niewiadoma and Dominika Włodarczyk finished among the leaders of the world peloton. Their performance is not only a personal success in sport, but also proof that Polish women can set the pace at the world's biggest events. Today, the Tour de Pologne started. Will Polish competitors, carried by a wave of success, keep up their good streak? Pauline Ferrand-Prévot cemented her dominance and won this year's Tour de France, women's division. However, there was also a strong showing from Polish cyclists who placed near the top of the race. Katarzyna Niewiadoma, last year's leader, finished in 3rd place, and 24-year-old Dominika Włodarczyk was just behind the podium.
Czego się spodziewać po Katarzynie Niewiadomej?
What else could we expect from Katarzyna Niewiadoma? Every time she has competed in this new edition since 2022, she has stood on the podium. On the other hand, Dominika Włodarczyk achieved her first major success, and I think she definitely has a bright future ahead of her. The Tour de France is a highly competitive sport, full of excitement and unexpected twists. Katarzyna Niewiadoma did not have an easy road to the podium. She was involved in a crash earlier on, but despite the adversity, she returned to the race with full determination.
Kolejny rok z rzędu udowodnił.
For another year in a row, she proved that she can push herself as hard as her legs will allow. She never gives up, always fighting to the end. Even if she falls, she quickly gets back on her bike. And it is this fortitude that determines success in cycling. Emotions were running high, with Katarzyna Niewiadoma in 4th place and Dominika Włodarczyk in 7th. However, the last stage brought a real display of ambition and cycling spirit among the Polish contestants. The Polish women rode a phenomenal race, fighting till the very last meters, and after crossing the finish line, they embraced each other. After the competition in France, the 82nd Tour de Pologne started today in Wrocław. This year's race will have a symbolic dimension, as 2 icons of Polish cycling, Rafał Majka and Michał Kwiatkowski, will be participating in it for the first time.
Ostatni wyścig.
This is the last race in Rafał Majka's career. Our popular Zgered is ending his career and retiring from the sport, so we need to support him even more. Just as we cheered on Adam Małysz, we need to cheer on Rafał Majka so that he can win the Tour de Pologne once again, as he did years ago. The Tour de Pologne will last until Sunday, August 10th, and will consist of 7 stages. It is a race that is currently at the forefront of the world cycling calendar, and in addition to sporting excitement, it is an excellent opportunity to promote Poland's natural beauty and picturesque landscapes.